I hadn't played Bullfight Ring no Hasha before I started recording for this episode, and I went in expecting a nice, normal boxing game. I definitely did not get that. But before I get into what makes Bullfight Ring no Hasha stand out, December 8th, 1989 was the end of NEC and Hudson's hardware refresh for the PC Engine line. We've seen the PC Engine shuttle, and the super graphics, but the other thing they did was replace the white PC Engine unit, the original style system, and they replaced it with a new style of console, the Core Graphics. And of course, graphics is spelled Grafx. The Core Graphics kept the same price as the PC Engine unit, 24,800 yen, but it did bring a small handful of changes. The most important was the change to the video output. The original PC Engine only offered RF out, or a radio frequency transmission. This type of video output was prone to interference and fuzzy quality, so even though the Core Graphics only changed it to composite video out, it was still a huge improvement. Of course, the Core Graphics still had the same expansion bus as the original PC Engine, which you could tap to get better video and audio quality. Another significant change was that the controller included with the system was the same as the TurboGrafx 16 controller used in the US. It has a little bit better form factor than the original PC Engine, and most importantly, switches to turn on a built-in rapid fire function. You could set 2 different levels of rapid fire for buttons 1 and 2. The PC Engine shuttle also had this rapid fire function in its controller, though the shuttle had a different controller shape. The Core Graphics unit was the version of the PC Engine out there at the height of the platform's popularity, which makes it the most recognizable version of the PC Engine. And if you wanted to get a new game to go with your new Core Graphics, you could pick up Bullfight Ring no Hasha. This is the first PC Engine game by Cream, whose name is a portmanteau of creative amusement. This was their first console game, and they were a fairly small developer and publisher who wound up cozying up to Nichibutsu. We will see about half a dozen games from them on the PC Engine, but nothing that was ever really successful. Bullfight Ring no Hasha is nominally a boxing game, and I had never heard of a boxing ring referred to as a bullfight ring, so I wound up doing a bit of research, and as far as I can tell, this game is the only place where that happens. There are 3 different game modes here. Survival is actually a tournament mode, and it's what you have to go to in order to set up multiplayer matches. Champion mode is the standard one-player boxing. You get your choice of 8 fighters, and they are varied in their strengths and weaknesses, and then you get to pick out a trainer, though not all trainers are available to all boxers. The trainer will give you advice during the match, and determine how your boxer's abilities progress. With both of those picked out, it's time to start climbing the ranks to Japanese Champion. There's actually 3 boxing tournaments you have to take part in: the Japanese Championship, the Orient Championship, and the World Championship. Boxers are rated on 3 stats: power, or how hard they hit, speed, or how quickly they respond, and stamina, how many punches to the face they can take. In the ring, button 1 is for punching, button 2 is for defensive moves. And both of those are modified by what direction you're pressing on the D-pad. Up in 1 will do an uppercut, down in 1 will do a body blow. While with button 2, you press up and down to choose how you're going to block, or left in button 2 if you want to lean backwards. If you hit right as you're hitting someone, then it's possible to advance them toward the ropes, but in practice, I wasn't really able to do this. Presumably it has something to do with the boxer's stats. Instead, I always found myself getting pushed back and not being able to take a step forward. Getting against the ropes gives the opponent an opportunity to perform combos, though these are still easily blocked and not as effective as you might expect. After you win a match, your trainer will likely teach you their super punch. As you beat up your opponent, you get critical points, and this is the number that appears above your boxer's portrait. Once the number's high enough, you'll hear an alarm indicating that you can do your super punch. Press button 1 and 2, and you'll unleash a big attack. This is often enough to knock someone down from quarter health if it can connect, which makes it really useful in getting a TKO, knocking somebody down 3 times in a round. If you're knocked down, then you can get back up again by mashing button 1. The game makes you do this even if you're on your 3rd knockdown, where the fight's going to be called anyways. Before the championship match, your trainer will give you an opportunity to improve one of your stats. And you do this by taking part in a mini-game, which usually just means mashing the button as fast as possible. If you make it to the World Championship, then you're given the opportunity to switch trainers, and maybe get somebody who can enhance your stats even further. That's how the game works in the ring, but there's one more game mode, fighting. And despite that name, it is not a fighting game. Instead, it becomes a single-plane beat-em-up. Here you're a rough-and-tumble street fighter, punching your way through crowds of people, trying to get to your next boxing match. On the streets, button 1 is for your attacks, while button 2 jumps. Jumping is used for dodging knives that are mysteriously thrown at your back, or to collect the flying money purses that appear above your head. Those purses move at the same rate you do, so if you miss collecting them, something that's very easy to do because the hitbox is weirdly precise, then don't bother chasing after them. The purse is gone forever. There are shops on the street, and here's where you can spend the money that you've been earning. You can get items to refill your health, training to improve your stats, and most importantly, a license that will let you into the next fight. At the end of the side-scrolling area, there's a guy who will check your license, and if you don't have it, it's back to the start of the street. This is actually something that's kind of useful, since it fully restores your health, and that means you can just loop the street over and over again, building up your stats. In fact, it really feels like the game wants you to play that way. If you've got the license, then you're allowed in, and you take part in a boxing match. If you win that match, then you advance to the next level, which means going through the streets again. But if you lose, then you can continue and go through the previous set of streets, hopefully building up your character a bit more. Bullfight Ring no Hasha is one of those games that is totally forgotten. Not a single person had anything to say about it, even the weird fighting mode. Sports games just don't get that much attention, even when they try to do something different. My feeling on Bullfight Ring no Hasha is that they had some interesting ideas and some really bad execution. The controls just feel terrible, and because there's no wind-up animation or indicators of what your opponent is going to do, blocking winds up feeling like it's coming down to luck. Counterpunching does work, but you pretty much have to guess what they're going to throw. In the fighting mode, the enemies have the exact same reach as you, and so the only way to consistently fight them is to use the low kick, which feels really wrong for a boxing game. In the fighting mode, everything feels sluggish, and just having random attacks come at you from the back becomes completely unfair since you often can't dodge them as you're dealing with enemies in front of you. There's no reasonable way to prep or react. I'll give Bullfight Ring no Hasha full points for ambition, but it's really let down by its execution.